no clap?
There's no clap.
Okay. Hello out there in Packer Nation, and welcome to another episode of the Absolute Packer Podcast. We are on... frog in my throat. We are on episode 84, which Jeremy has named No News is Good News. So I'll take that because, it is kind of a slow news cycle. I mean, there's always stuff to talk about, but relatively speaking, it's pretty slow. So without going any further, I am Andrew Hetzel, and with me as always are my cohorts, Jeremy Hautala, Ella Christensen. What's up, boys?
You know the cool thing that started this weekend?
What's that?
They started spring college football.
Is that right?
Yes. And Deion Sanders, who is
he got robbed, I heard.
He got robbed in his first game as coaching Jackson State. But they won 53-0. So Deion prime time. Is on prime time.
I heard some kind of like interview with him earlier this morning. They had a clip on some show, and it was like, it was a good thing that, I had already taken all my jewelry out, so I didn't leave that behind. And we know Deion loves his jewelry.
Right.
Yeah, that's kind of funny. Deion Sanders, man. I'll tell you what, I would have never pegged him to be a coach. He never seemed like a guy who'd be a coach. So, I hope he does well. But yeah, I mean, what is it? Jacksonville, Louis Lafayette, Division 3, Bethune-Cookman State.
Division 1A.
Division 1A.
Division 1A.
Better than 1B. So, all right.
Wow.
Well, in terms of news and notes, let's see. The Packers did release two players, Christian Kirksey and is it? I had a brain fart. Is it Ricky?
Rick Wagner.
I said Ricky. Ricky.
You can use Ricky.
Oh, Ricky. He's my buddy.
He's not gonna come back and get you.
Ricky Vaughn.
That movie is
Give
great.
him the old heater.
Come on, Dorn. Get in front of the damn ball. None of this Olay BS. That movie is underrated.
Mm-hmm.
You may run. He goes, you may run like Mays, but you hit like crap.
Yep.
Willie Mays Hayes.
Willie Mays Hayes.
And Cyrano, the voodoo guy. Jobu.
Oh, my God.
Anyway, okay. That was a good get there. Rick Wagner and Christian Kirksey. Rick Wagner was, I guess you could say he was more of a right tackle, but he probably could have played somewhere else in a pinch, but he was primarily right tackle in place of I can't even talk. I'm having all this trouble. I blame this cat over here that you can't see, Pudge. Right tackle in place of Brian Bulaga, who left free agency last year. He filled in pretty well, I would say, all things considered. He had a really crappy NFC Championship game, but he's not the only one. So let's hope that they're going to release him and possibly do better.
I was just going to say that was his worst game because of the 588 pass snaps that he had this year. He gave up one sack and had one penalty. So,
but how many did he have in the NFC Championship?
Right,
probably 8 times that.
Yeah, but he wasn't signing for Bakhtiari money though. So
it's just so. I mean, I got you. It's so frustrating that like everybody had their worst game of the season against Tampa Bay at the worst possible time. It seemed. Obviously, that's hyperbole, but there were a few that got, especially on the offensive line, that looked like turnstiles. But Christian Kirksey was the inside linebacker who. I mean, I don't know if these moves were entirely surprising. They needed to free up some cap room, and these guys were some kind of low-hanging fruit. And you have to believe that with Kirksey, even though he played better down the stretch, that they thought they could do better and that they probably overpaid for him. So, I guess it is what it is. So those were the two most notable cap casualties, if you will. I don't know how far over the Packers are still over the salary cap, but they restructured Bakhtiari's deal. I think that alleviated $8 million. Mm-hmm. Okay. And then I don't know the total numbers for Wagner and Kirksey, but they're still probably
roughly 9 to 10.
Okay. So they're still a decent chunk above it. rumor has it, and it probably is going to be, it probably is going to happen, is they're going to rework Aaron Rodgers' contract in some fashion to free up some cap too. I mean, right now, as it stands, even if they rework Rodgers' salary or his cap numbers, I don't see how they can sign anybody in free agency because they still have to pool the money for their draft picks, which will count against the cap and all that too. So I'm just the 500-pound gorilla in the room, I think that's the phrase, is they want to go after, like, could they go after J.J. Watt? Maybe, but it's going to have to be a sweetheart deal. It's going to have to take less money, and even as it stands right now, they don't have the money to do it. Can they create that? Yes, but I guess I'm curious as to who else is going to go.
Yeah, and the rumor I heard, if they renegotiate his contract, it'll save them anywhere between $14 and $16 million on this year's cap. So That's a significant figure, because what they're going to end up doing is give him a huge signing bonus and write him a check, and he pretty much can buy an island in the Caribbean. But what that does over the long haul,
Tom Brady's island.
Yeah. Why did you bring up Tom Brady? Just randomly like that?
Because I am a masochistic. That's why I did it. Because
thought we agreed.
Punishment. I don't know.
You do. Needle in the eye.
Glutton for punishment. No, Tom.
Yeah. Tom Brady, whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
But by the time March 7th rolls around or 17th rolls around,
that's the first official league year or day of the league year.
Yep. So they have to be underneath whatever the allotted cap is going to be set at that point, and I think they should be able to get there. They're going to be creative.
They will. I mean, could you imagine if the Packers actually were over the cap after when they were supposed to? That would be such an un-Packers thing to do. I would be stunned if they, what are the repercussions, I guess, for just say, for the sake of argument, say they're like $1 million over the cap after whatever. Can they dock you draft picks?
They don't allow you to play that season. I'm kidding. Totally kidding.
Well, I believed you, and I wanted to believe you.
No, I don't know what the penalty is, but it probably would be comp and picks.
I bet it would be loss of. I bet it'd be heavy fines and loss of picks, probably.
Mm-hmm. Which in the NFL standards will be pretty much a slap on the wrist.
Yeah, no kidding. I mean, draft picks, they can definitely hurt. I guess it depends on which draft picks they take or whatever. But anyway, so that's kind of the news, in terms of, I don't know what other league stuff's going on. I mean, I guess we could talk about Carson Wentz got traded to Indianapolis for, I believe you said.
Well, we were talking about this
third round.
We were talking about the salary cap.
And I'm done with that. We've moved on, buddy.
No, but I mean, so in terms.
All right, fine. We'll talk more.
So what? So I don't know enough about like what goes into this, but so are they still like coming to final negotiations on this? Because I saw that it's going to be at least 180 million. Yeah.
Jeremy said it's between 180 and 185. They definitely said that the floor was going to be 180.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I think once they tabulate all their, the money that came in and then, what they pay out, then they determine what the salary cap will be at that point.
The league breaks out their big abacus.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, so I mean, so do you think that has it's not going to have a big impact. It's not going to make the difference of keeping somebody like Aaron Jones, but do you think that it has some impact around any
You mean like the difference between 180 and 185 kind of thing?
Yeah, like that extra $5 million. Do you think there's any like not as marquee players that can have an impact on?
Yeah, I do. I in this day and age, $5 million can make the difference between, having somebody like Rick Wagner on your team who, filled in admirably this year. or having a rookie free agent. So that $5 million would be better suited to a guy who's proven his worth in this league versus, whatever the minimum salary is for an undrafted free agent, 500,000, whatever it may be. So yeah, it makes a huge difference. Huge difference.
Yeah, it's a good. I think right now the Packers are, in my heart of hearts, I want to think that they're making some of these moves not because of cap ramifications, or not more so because of cap ramifications, but because they're like, well, we can do better, so we're going to get rid of these guys to do better. But let's be real, both those guys, Kirksey and Wagner, are because of cap ramifications. I think. Do they want to do better than those guys? Yeah, but they're not jettisoning them because they're going to upgrade with the sole purpose of upgrading. It's you wish that all these moves could be like, okay, we're done with you and we want to upgrade. But I mean, the reality is probably not,
Yeah, because in
probably lateral moves,
the NFL is all about replacement values. So you get rid of somebody and you always have an idea of who you're going to replace that person with. Just like Philadelphia, when they traded Carson Wentz, they had the idea that Jalen Hurts was going to be their guy, and they're probably going to go out, either sign a free agent or draft another quarterback. So you always have to have a plan B to the plan A move that you instigated. So what is their move?
Yeah, it's always like
linebacker. They feel pretty confident with the two guys that they have there, in Barnes and Martin. And then if they draft somebody, great. But what's that?
If they go into the season with Barnes and Martin,
that's not going to put them over the top. I would have no problem with one of them.
It'd be a net zero, in my opinion. It'd be like,
yeah. I mean, if they could have somebody like Levante David and then put Kamal Martin or Barnes next to him, I think that would be a huge improvement over what we've had in the past. But if we go in with Martin and Barnes, we're expecting a lot of internal improvement to happen. And I don't know if they're capable of being studs, which is what they need. At least one of those guys needs to be a stud for them to.
Yeah, I mean, we're so spoiled because we're like, look at Tampa Bay's linebackers, and those guys are like almost once in a generation inside linebackers, and not
right.
A lot of other teams don't have that, but at the same time, it's like, color me not surprised and a little disappointed if they just go into next season going, all right, Kamal Martin and Barnes, and it's not knocks on those guys. I mean, Martin was a fourth round, I believe. Fifth rounder. Okay, I was thinking fourth round, mm-hmm. And Barnes was undrafted, right?
Mm-hmm.
Ultimately, you kind of get what you pay for, and it's like the Packers, as we've said, they treat the inside linebacker like. Trying to think of a good analogy. Nothing there. Brain slow
Sandbox.
Tonight. They treat it like it's one of the least important positions on the entire team. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah, I mean, so getting rid of Kirksey, did it make sense? Yeah, it made complete sense. I had high hopes for him, and he didn't live up to them. So he's on the street. But
yeah, and I mean, he was injured a lot. I think when you look back at his career, it's like he had missed like 2/3 of the games he had attempted to play the past couple of years before they signed him. So, and he got hurt during the season. He played better at the end of the year, but let's not kid ourselves into thinking that he was like, like the guy, like even close to what they had on Tampa Bay or whatever. I mean, he was.
I think it was PFF. They rank every player, and he was actually the second worst starting linebacker in the league.
Behind?
So I don't remember who was the worst, but he was the
Bobby Boucher.
Bobby Boucher. Yes, the water boy.
That's all I got.
Yeah.
That's some high quality H2O.
Yes.
There you go.
I'm looking at this list on who has this Packers Wire.
All right.
USA
list
Today.
Of what?
Mm-hmm. It's the 9 Packers that regress the most.
Ooh, let's hear it.
And it's Za'Darius.
Well, is this in like order? Is this just in random order, or is it?
I don't. Let's see. I don't think it's in order of. I think it's just No, I think it's just a collection because I don't think they're ranking.
Or it might
them.
be position by position, or whatever. But go ahead, shoot out.
Yeah. So Za'Darius went from they have these these PFF rankings, I think. So he went from a 90.2 in 2019 down to a 76.7 in 2020.
Mm-hmm.
And then Preston Smith, similar regression.
He was worse,
but he was started from a lower high, so he went down from 66 to 53. And then Shandon Sullivan as a fourth cornerback, so like whatever. But then Kevin King, perennial hate for him,
hate magnet.
And then of course they made the note that his run defense grade went way up, but he was among the worst starting cornerbacks in the league for both coverage and tackling.
Really? I didn't know he was one of the worst in the league.
Yeah. Well, among the worst starting. Yeah. I mean, whatever. Kenny Clark down to 73.8 from 79.8. So I think that sounds like it's pretty.
He was hurt too. That's not helping.
Right. Yep. They noted that. So that's a weird one. Aaron Jones went down a little bit, mostly because they're noting that he wasn't as good as a receiver or a blocker. Jamal Williams the same. So when I look at this, I'm like, well, maybe if the price is going up and the performance is actually kind of going down for both those guys, I'm not sure. Like that's a much harder calculation for the Packers, and the shelf life for running backs is not long anyway. And if we see that
when you say those two guys, you mean Aaron Jones and Jamal Williams?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, look, the league has always been: do you want to pay for a proven, savvy vet? Right. You got to pay more, or do you want to get younger and cheaper?
Yeah,
those are basically kind of the.
But but if you get a proven running back, you're going to get maybe a year. What are you going to do there? Then Dean Lowry, we've talked about him before. Mercedes Lewis.
He might come back.
They're calling him a major liability.
Major liability. Is that a good thing?
Major liability in the passing game. His run.
Is that a military connotation?
Yeah.
Major liability.
So those are the 9, and then they have some random others that are listed.
I would not be surprised at all if they brought back Mercedes Lewis on a vet minimum. Rodgers loves him, and he's not a thing.
It's a price performance kind of thing, right? Yeah. So
it is. But when you
can't have all superstars.
But when I think it's either a 7-year veteran. I think that's the cutoff point. So let's say, for example, they sign Mercedes Lewis to a $2 million contract. Because of his tenure, it only counts $900,000 against the cap. So it benefits them to sign guys like that. If they're, halfway decent, it benefits them because they have a cap.
Yeah, I hear you. I mean, where else is he going to go? Is he going to start over at 84 somewhere? He's not starting over anywhere. He's going to stay with the Packers. So that does kind of help us in some way.
Yeah. So anyway, I thought that was kind of an interesting perspective on. I mean, especially
some of those I have a little quibbling with, but whatever.
Well, I mean, those are the actual numbers, right? But so when you're factoring like receiving capabilities of running backs, like I don't know. Is that what you have them for? I don't know. Like, yeah, they're flexible, and maybe they were a little less flexible this year. I don't know. What does that mean exactly? Right.
Yeah. I mean, even the grades are subjective. I listen to Andy Herman's Pack a Day podcast a lot, and he compares PFF grades with his, and by and large, it's like the 80-20 rule. 80% of the grades, they pretty much are pretty.
That's probably true.
Pretty much there.
Yeah.
And then he said 20% of the grades they are like divergent on, which is weird. But
I'm trying to soothe myself for losing.
Keep that to yourself,
Williams. So
please don't make that public.
I'm trying to become okay with that because that's the scary leap. Like, okay, what does the team look like without those two?
Yeah, I think the team's going to look a lot different next year. It is.
And that's scary.
And I hate to say it, but it's like you hope they didn't blow their window. But
yeah.
I mean, think about this. If they get to the NFC Championship game, that's a failure. I'm sorry. They got to get to a Super Bowl. Period.
So
End
are we
of story.
Like every team?
So are we like we're like Philadelphia now?
It's always sunny in Philadelphia.
They put a statue up, and then
oh god, yeah, they put up like one of what was it, Peterson and Wentz, and now they're both gone. Like,
no,
like right after they cast the die for the statue, they got rid of their coach in there.
Yeah, Foles was pretty much gone right away. Yeah.
Foles. It wasn't Wentz. That's right. Foles
Peterson. Yeah. I never thought Wentz was that good. I don't think Foles is that good, but I don't think Foles is worse than Wentz.
I don't know. No, but I mean, look, I say that kind of tongue in cheek, but I mean, they've been to back-to-back NFC Championship games.
Yeah.
I
know. It'll be a letdown, but I mean, and anything less, of course, will be a letdown.
Yeah, if they don't even make an NFC Championship game, there's going to be pitchforks. Think about
it will be a letdown if they go into this offseason like they did last offseason, where they did not make any adjustments to the roster, in areas where they needed some help. If they did go out, let's say, for example, they go out and they sign JJ Watt. This is not true, but just say this. They go and sign JJ Watt and they draft an inside linebacker in, let's say, the first round. Okay. So they've invested literally quite a bit of capital there just based off of draft picks and also salary. And they don't make it. Mm-hmm. That's a huge letdown because you've invested so much into those two players thinking that they're going to be the difference. And if they aren't,
that's a letdown. The hump. Yep.
Right.
Look, Elliot kind of even mentioned every team is chasing it. It's a calculated risk, but I think with the Packers in general, I mean, you have Aaron Rodgers. You've been back-to-back NFC Championship games. One, you got your butt kicked, obviously, but this past one, that's why it's like you had it, man, you had it, and and we could have beaten KC. Just so frustrating.
No, it's
frustrating, man. I don't know what else to say. So.
Well, honestly, last offseason when they lost to the 49ers, they, Gutekunst looked at that roster and thought that internal growth was going to be there over the hump.
And I bet you at that point they were already thinking, they're like, oh, we're going to draft an inside line. We're going to get rid of Martinez, and I got my eye on this guy. Come on. Well,
I don't have any idea.
Yeah,
they probably had no idea about inside linebacker. But let's just say this offseason, they have an idea. Then they have an idea that they want inside linebacker or, a running mate to Kenny Clark.
If they don't think they have to get better in the trenches, then
it's going to be another ending, just like we saw.
Then they all deserve to be. They have no clue.
And that's the problem that I have with looking at the whole picture. It's like, okay, 2 years in a row, you really got your butts handed to you in the trenches. Whatever you think is working, and I listened to all these prognosticators out there, and they're like, Packers, their number one need is a cornerback. And I'm like, what is that? What good has that done for us over the past 6 years? That's like, you need to change your mindset now. Cornerback hasn't been the save all be all. Let's work on something else that we haven't thought of in the past.
Well, don't forget we have that ass kicker, Joe Barry. Silence, awkward silence.
Well, we'll see what he does.
That's a great point.
But he's also got to have talent, though. Like if he's going to have Zadarius Smith and Kenny Clark as and Rashawn Gary as your pass rushers,
I want to see a marketed difference in the defense, in the attitude, in just almost everything. They've been so freaking passive. Even if they're not. Even if they're still, I just want to see more flying around and just passion. I don't even know what else. It's like dictate to the offense for once. I have not seen a defense dictate to the offense since Super Bowl 45. Mm-hmm. It's been over a decade since this team has had a defense that dictated to the offense.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if I see even a little hint of that, it'll be nice.
Yeah.
But the trenches.
Yeah, it starts in the trenches. I think that's where they.
And the other thing, that's interesting. I mean, they just gave Kenny Clark that big extension. They're going to wear him out if they don't get him help. Guy is taking up a ton of snaps. He's taking up double teams every snap, basically. He's going to wear down prematurely.
Mm-hmm.
Can't have that.
And that's what I worry about with him because they have him for another 4 years. You better protect him.
Yeah.
And you have to keep guys off of him. And I mean, he is, like you said, because he is the focal point, he gets predominantly 2 blockers on him.
And they know they need him on the field because he's the best they got. So it's like I said, it's the combination of not having help, double teamed, and he's playing a ton of snaps.
Right.
So yeah, that'll wear him down.
So what they've done has not worked and they need to change the tide.
But they signed Dean Lowry.
When? 2 years ago?
Yeah. Remember, that was the idea. Oh, we're going to replace Mike Daniels with Dean Lowry. Frustrating. You think he gets cut?
Yes.
Dean, you think he gets full-blown cut?
Something happens. I mean, whether he gets...
Either a restructure or cut. Okay, so pick your bets. Restructure or cut for Lowry?
I think if he was a smart guy, which I think he is, he would restructure just to keep his job. But I think he would know that on the market, he could probably command more money than what he would make here. So he might take his chances elsewhere.
You think he would? Good.
Yeah. Teams pay a pretty penny for a defensive lineman. Doesn't matter whether they're, J.J. Watt or
even dainty ones.
Even dainty ones, yes. Dainty Dean Lowry. So
I don't know. I honestly think he's. I'd put the over on. He's going to take a cut.
He's gonna take a cut.
Because the other thing is, if they do end up or take a pay cut, not get cut.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
If they do cut him, holy cow! You talk about razor thin on the defensive line. They got nobody.
Yep.
You know what I mean? You almost need him as just a body. But
and that's the dilemma that they go through is like, okay, let's say for example they get rid of Dean Lowry, they get rid of Corey Linsley or Corey Linsley leaves.
Man,
the
offensive line is perilously thin because Linsley's gone, and they just released Ricky Wagner, and David Bakhtiari is going to be hurt to start the season.
Yeah,
their offensive line right now is not looking good on paper. Oh boy.
Well, I think in their eyes, they feel like they have some flexibility because, they've been talking about flipping Elton Jenkins back to right tackle or left tackle. And
they drafted 3 guys, but I don't know who they are. Runyon Jr. I mean, he seems somewhat promising, but
yeah,
they're going to, I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, either way they look at it, like if they get rid of Dean Lowry, they're going to have to invest with high draft capital there. If they lose Corey Linsley, going into the season, they're going to have to draft and I think it's going to be tackle because they learned in the NFC Championship game they need 2 bookends to keep Rodgers upright and keep him lethal. They learned that, and they value offensive linemen. There's one thing that this team values, it's offensive linemen. So I don't doubt that.
No, I agree with that, and they want versatility on the offensive line. Yeah, no, I agree with that. Do you think? I think they need to look at, particularly on defense, drafting different types of players. They need more ass kickers. They do not draft ass kickers on defense. Period. End of story.
Yeah, they need more Elliots.
Way too many try-hard guys. And if a guy is got, I don't want to say a checkered past, but if he's, doesn't fit perfectly in the Packer mold of whatever, it's like they got to stop that. They need some freaking ass kickers on defense, and they just don't draft those kinds of players. They need to get out of that. I'm not saying go way off the reservation, but no more the Dean Lowrys of the world. Sorry.
And the Kevin Kings.
Yeah.
They projected him because he was 6'3" and ran a 4.4. He didn't really do much in college as far as production goes.
And he was hurt.
When
they drafted him, he was hurt. Don't forget that.
Right. Don't draft, damaged goods. Please.
Yeah. So I have no idea if that's going to happen. I doubt it, because even Gutekunst has shown a type, and I haven't really seen him draft any nasty defensive players. Have you?
No, Gutekunst, no.
That's what Ted did.
He drafts
Ted drafted
quarterbacks,
Clay.
and punters.
I don't know if Clay had nasty. I mean, look, he's a good player.
Earlier on, he did.
I mean, it's some of the stuff. It's like it's subjective. It's kind of whatever. But I think you kind of know what I'm getting at. You know, it's just they seem to. It's more conservative, for lack of a better term, defensive players. They're more. I don't know. I want ass kickers, please. And
but part of that is this whole general attitude, right?
Yeah. I mean, let's hope that this new defensive coordinator has Mike Pettin. If you looked up passive in the dictionary, there's a photo of him. Everything about it screamed passive.
Are there rules on how we have to pay coaches? Because I want to pay them on performance. The guy has a $700,000 house in Bellevue that's up for sale now. Pettin, he's selling his house in Bellevue, and in Green Bay, $700,000 house. That is a house.
Right. That's got a tennis court, indoor pool.
I mean, yeah. I mean, this isn't like this isn't like the Chicago suburbs,
Beach.
Yeah. So this is California.
He's got a football field, and he's got cardboard cutouts that are playing off coverage 15 yards from the line of scrimmage in his backyard.
I mean, and to be honest, like, I don't know who you sell a house like that to unless it's another Packer player.
The next defensive coordinator.
I mean, honestly, who buys that house? Who buys $700,000 houses?
Elliot is complaining about the free market. He's worth what someone's willing to pay him. He's worth what someone's willing to pay him.
This is disbelief.
I like that. I like that. This isn't a complaint.
Were we willing?
This is disbelief. That was good. I like that.
I mean, we were willing to pay him for too long. Yeah. I think he stayed at least a season too long.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't like a crazy overstay of his welcome, but it wasn't anywhere near Dom Capers. Dom Capers, you could argue, was there half decade too long. I mean, that's just obscene.
Yeah.
Imagine Dom Capers' house. He must have had an $8 million house.
I don't know. I mean,
he was like a college tenured professor.
But I do, I feel like there are, and I guess it's good to not have this drastic swing to this new attitude of excellence, right? You have to take some measured steps on this. Yeah, but I do see like getting rid of Pettin and as being a nudge in that direction. Maybe signing a quarterback in the draft, like that's a nudge in that direction.
Did you say signing a quarterback or drafting a quarterback?
Not this time. But I mean, last time, we did that. I think that's a stake in the ground saying, hey, we're the train is going, get on board, right?
What's it?
Doesn't matter who you are.
It's kind of an interesting past couple of years from the standpoint. I mean, I've already talked about this, but we've been to back-to-back NFC championships, and you would consider both seasons a failure. I mean, and it's because you have Aaron Rodgers. You're on the cusp. Your teams are pretty good. Other teams would be beside themselves to have that kind of stuff going on. And so you go to back-to-back NFC championship games. You end up firing both coordinators. And then your coordinators you bring in are suspect.
Right. And it's not like they snuck into the playoffs each year as sixth. Yeah. They were a number 2 seed last year and a number 1 seed this year.
Yeah. So it's when you think about it,
second best
weird,
team
right?
in their conference.
If you would have said that both coordinators would be gone, it'd be like, really? It's just, in a way, it's just kind of strange, I guess, to think about. And like I said, you have to trust LaFleur, I guess. I don't know. But, I mean, underwhelming, both of his coordinator hires. Both. I'm sorry. I mean,
this team has This team has LaFleur written all over it now.
Yeah,
he
no
rides
more excuses.
and dies.
Honeymoon's over, baby.
Ride and die.
Yeah, he can't make any. Everybody's handpicked now.
Okay,
I mean, well, he handpicked Menenga, but he canned him.
Wait,
so
Devil's Advocate wants to.
But that's just it, right? Who do you replace him with?
Somebody better.
I mean, but who's that? Who's that?
You like that?
Yeah. Is it
simple as that?
Somebody asked me that the other day, and they said they go, well, who's out there? And I go, I don't know. It's not my job to know. But you can't tell me that the guy they hired as a defensive coordinator, looking at his resume, they couldn't have found somebody better. I don't believe that.
Yeah.
I just don't. And I mean, the special teams coordinator, they could have gone out and found a more accomplished guy. They would have had to pay more money.
No, I'm talking about LaFleur.
You're talking okay.
Like if you get rid of LaFleur, who you know?
Oh, I thought you were talking about Pettin. And when
I thought we were at the put up or shut up.
Oh.
Like, all right, it's Super Bowl. You're done.
No, I mean with LaFleur, the head coach is a little bit of a different animal. I agree. And I mean, look, I think they did the right thing with LaFleur. I like every coach has their flaws, and by and large, I like what LaFleur's done.
Yeah.
I
do agree. On the lower and the lower tier coaching positions, I feel like there is more flexibility. That is probably true.
I mean, I will say that I've been underwhelmed with his hires. They seem kind of good old boy cronyism in a way. If you looked at that defensive coordinator's resume, it sucks. It's not good. Now, did he have the players that he has here? No. But what's the biggest predictor of future success? What you've done in the past. So people go, oh, he did this. It's like, yeah, I'm not going to look past that because that's what he did. Why have a resume, you know? And I think they should have gone outside of the whole friggin' building to get for special teams coordinator. But again, I guess what I'm saying is I will give LaFleur the benefit of the doubt, but it's going to be a short-lived honeymoon on these new guys because, man, I'll tell you what, if they're 6 games in and they look the same or worse, it ain't going to fly. And it's because we're in this kind of strange situation where he's won 26 games, not including playoffs, in his first 2 seasons. He's only lost, 6 games in the regular season. So it's like he is very successful, LaFleur, but got to get over that hump.
Ones.
Yeah. Look, the 49er one, they barely had any business being there. They were going to get housed either way. They weren't even close to the same. First, there were lots of different stuff. The Tampa Bay one's going to sting for a long. That's going to be a really I don't want to say it's going to be an all-time loss, but it's going to be on the fringes of being an all-time loss. I think because it was death by 1,000 cuts. They made so many friggin' mistakes. They were all self-inflicted. It was just. No. Yeah, it was there for taking.
That in Seattle. Like if you look at the Seattle game in 2014, I mean
Seattle was way worse because
they had
it was
5 turnovers.
Yeah.
They got the ball back 5 times and they only had 6 points from it. And I mean they played a phenomenal game for 3 quarters. Well,
there's only been 2 teams in like the past 20 years that have had 5 turnovers on defense.
And lost.
They didn't have 5 in Tampa Bay. They had at least that's what it was. At least 3 interceptions and lost. And the Packers both times are the team that did that. Wow. Seattle in 2014 and last year. They intercepted Brady 3 times in the second half and got 0 points or 3. I can't even remember. But I mean, it's just that's why, like I said, it was a whole team loss. Man, really sucks.
Sick and tired of losing.
And the NFC Championship right now is a bugaboo for this whole franchise. It's a mental block.
You've lost on the road and at home. Yeah, it's a mental block.
And you were number 1 seed. You had a bye. You had basically no injuries. Your quarterback just had an MVP season. There's 0 excuse. It's got to be a mental hurdle for everybody. All the way up to Murphy.
This one definitely does. That's why
you couldn't have set it up any better.
That's why I just this offseason I talked about in one of my blog posts that they need Stone Cold Steve Austin to come in and bring a can of whoop ass. I mean, really, they
open
need some
beers.
They need some motivational speaker to come in and just say, "Hey, dude, like, light your tree on fire." I don't know, do something that kind of
tree.
Tree.
Are you advocating for arson? We're going to motivate them with arson?
No, we're going to promote growth because burning a tree down will bring more trees.
Oh, I like that. Spoken like a politician.
I think they gotta bring in.
I'm promoting growth.
Yes.
I think they should bring in Phil Jackson to give him some guru meditation. I'm a believer in that guy, man. The whole just yeah.
Well, remember when I made that? Go ahead.
No.
I was going to say, remember when I made that comment about Tom Brady who would throw his kids down a well to win a Super Bowl?
Yeah. Well, right.
It was even the comment I made. I hate going back to it, but if you told Rodgers, if you could see in the future, if you had a time machine, said, I saw this game and you handed the ball off 40 times and you went to the Super Bowl, and then you went back and you told him, could you do this? He'd be like, I don't think so. There's that. Would you do everything and anything to get to a Super Bowl?
Well,
man,
and you have to have that mindset.
Yes. It is a mental thing.
But that it's the Lombardi, that it's the only thing, because it is I have kids, but I can make more of those. I can't make another Super Bowl.
I need to make my kids being thrown down a well analogy into a reality.
I don't know. I mean, I hate that you use that. I hate that you use that one, but I'm just trying to riff off that. But I mean, nothing else matters, right? There's no other thing that should matter.
Then get Metallica in here to serenade them with nothing else.
How did I know you were going to do that? As soon as they said it, I'm like, oh, here it comes. It's all over.
We want some ass kickers. Now let's bring in the softest Metallica song ever written.
So, do you guys have anything else?
Yeah, Patrick Mahomes had a baby.
Oh, okay. So we're going down that rabbit hole.
A man. That is news. A man got.
I mean, this is huge.
That's why I brought it up.
He's the third best quarterback in the league, and he's also pregnant.
Did he have to have a C-section?
Oh God!
I don't know if I want to go down that road.
Oh man,
I should have gone there. That's my bad.
No. It's definitely Andy's bad.
I apologize for nothing.
All right. So what I was going to recommend is for our 3.5 listeners that they send us
3.5
things to talk about.
We cut somebody in half. What's that?
Well, I mean, I count us.
Dainty Dean. Right? Is Dainty Dean Lowry one of them?
God, I hope so. That would be kick ass. That would be awesome. Yeah,
kick ass.
So we have what I was going to say is they could tweet us with a hashtag, maybe ask APP. That would work. They can also call on the telephono. You can scroll way to the bottom. I could probably bring it up right now.
Oh, on the website.
Yep. And if you just scroll all the way to the bottom, if you're on your smarty phone, you scroll all the way to the bottom, just flick all the way to the bottom. Way at the bottom is, well, that's green. If I do my background now, there's a phone number at the bottom. Yeah, and it's 508-535-5468, but you can just tap on it if you're on your phone. So that's what I would recommend. So you don't have to remember that, and I'll print it too. And the other thing you can do is email fans@absolutepacker.com. So and you could send in a
Facebook
audio clip, and you can hit the Facebook up. Any way you want to get a hold of us, we're easy to get a hold of. But the best would be if you send an
I'm not giving out my mailing address. No.
It's on the website. But Yeah. Yep. Why do you think there's? Look at that dude behind you, peering in the window. Why do you think you got that?
Why do you think I got the new digital? Why do you think I got the new digital doorbell? Because all the APP fans are sending me flaming bags of dog poo on my porch.
Yeah, and because I'm thinking, and if nobody has recommendations for things to talk about, I have a whole laundry list of things that I would like to hear from you guys, but I want to give you time to prepare for those. So
that would be nice.
I don't have anything for this week otherwise, but I have a bunch of things that I think, if given a little time to prepare, would be awesome to hear from you guys on. So
bring them up.
Yeah. So if you got nothing else, we can call it a day.
Call it. Time of death, 8:02.
Oh my God! What did you call this one? No news is good news, or something.
Good news.
No news is good news. Well,
we name it time of death.
Time of death.
Oh my God! Off the
like time of death, 8:02.
I do. So go back up.
Back up.
Podcast.
Chair. I know, right?